Hey everyone, how are you doing on Saturday? I don't know if Saturday is a good time to do a scope because maybe y'all are all out partying, going to a club or whatever, but me, I'm at home, I'm in my backyard. Don't judge me, we just moved in a few months ago and haven't gotten a landscaper. Hi, Molly Murray. Hey, gotta praise him. Yes, you do. Hey, everyone. Oh, Go and Glow, my girl Natasha. How you doing? So yeah, hey, TM Shine. My husband is being boring. I was like, let's go do something. It's Saturday. Hey. And he's like, no, I have work to do. Hey, B. Coleman. Hey, girl. Think and Grow Rich, the biggest secret. Hey, you guys. Email with Darren. What's up? Okay. So since he didn't want to hang out with me, I was like, well, forget you. I'm just going to have a little girl talk with my girls. And I guess there are some guys on here, so, you know, you'll just have to sit for the girl talk. So who wants to have some girl talk? Go ahead and hit some hearts. Hey, Jay Lexi, how are you doing? Hit the hearts if you want to have some girl talk. Love it. Thank you all. So I got really inspired to do this because as I was coming home, I went and checked the mail, and this was in the mail. This new Ebony, and it's got Tina Knowles Lawson on the cover. And just a little background for me, I am not like a pop culture person. I don't typically, I'm neutral, I guess, to the whole Beyonce phenomenon. I definitely don't dislike her. I like what she does and all that, but I'm not like a part of the Beehive or a super fan or, buys all her music or anything like that. So generally, I don't pay attention to, celebrity gossip and what's going on with their family and all that stuff. But when I saw this in the mail and it was, just talking about her life after she's divorced and that she's 61. Okay, so someone else's feels me, Regina tweets. Yeah, it's no shade thrown at anybody. I'm just not into it. I'm not into following others' lives because I'm too busy trying to build my life, so, that's just typically my position. But this was really interesting to me because I just have a lifelong habit of studying older women and studying who I feel are self-possessed women. I don't know, even since I was young, I just always loved being around older women who just had it going on, even if they were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. I know 40s isn't old, but at the time when I was in my teen years, I just really loved sitting under like my aunties or kind of kicking it in the kitchen, sneaking when my mom and her girlfriends were talking, and I was hoping that they wouldn't kick me out because I just loved sitting under their advice and just their, worldliness and their wisdom. And I just love older women who just really got it going on. And I came across the word self-possessed years ago, I think in college, when I was reading all of these, like, self-confidence books and women's books. And I think, He's Just Not That Into You was a popular book at the time. And I really loved reading all those French books that are like, this is why Americans are terrible and why French women are awesome. And these are like little French habits that you can apply. Thank you, Miss Carmel J. I just redid it a few days ago. And so in one of these French books that I was reading that was talking about the difference between like why, and I know it's a stereotype, but why French women are esteemed the way they do and are esteemed the way they are in comparison to American women, the author used the word French women have a sense of self-possession about them. And even though at the time I wasn't totally clear on what that word meant, I knew she was on to something when I read that. I was like, yeah, that's what I think people are missing. And so self-possession is kind of a synonym for self-confidence and all that, but I think self-possession as a term transcends self-confidence because it's more closely related to self-contained, meaning not only are you okay with yourself, but you have a sense of peace and mastery over yourself. And so I really love studying and just being around who I feel are self-possessed women because that's the kind of vibe that I want to exude. And one day when I'm in my 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and beyond, I never want to feel like I'm put out to pasture. And I think our culture as Americans really doesn't know how to esteem our elders, but older women the way other cultures do. I know, African cultures and Indian cultures and Asian cultures, they understand the power and the wisdom of older people who are just so wise, and they have that own sense of beauty that only comes with living a full life and just really being in control of yourself. And that kind of mastery takes a lifetime, and it's not something that you get right away when you're younger. And so I think it's really sad that American culture is always, looking at the newest, youngest thing, but we're not celebrating the inner peace and self-mastery that a lot of beautiful older people and older women especially have. And I'm obsessed with Angela Bassett. Like, I love her. When I think of older, no, can you believe it? I'm gonna be 27 on the 28th, July 28th. Oh, really? Michelle McKinney? That's crazy. Sometimes I have these conversations in my head and I think I'm like the only one. So I love it that other people are into this. And in fact, if you think your followers would want to get in on this girl talk, then go ahead and share this little scope that we're doing, because I just love this conversation and I really want to get into it. So I love Angela Bassett. I love Tracy Ellis Ross. I know she's not that old. She's like in her 40s or something like that. And also there's a newcomer to my mental Rolodex of older women that I love. Her name is Annette Larkins. She's not like super famous, like a celebrity, but she made headway like I think a year or two ago, because she's been a raw vegan for decades. Her husband in the 60s had like a meat butchery or whatever, and she saw firsthand how they kind of cut up the meat and it kind of grossed her out. So she became a vegetarian and then started growing fruits and vegetables in her backyard, and you know, so now they're both the same age, her and her husband, but she's in her 70s and looks amazing. I know 40's not old, I'm just saying, older than me. But yeah, she's in her 70s and looks like spectacular. And her husband is, you know, got diabetes and got all these issues. And you know, though she's got me inspired, I'm gonna try, you know, one day to be more vegetarian-like and include more raw fruits and veggies. When I listened to the interview and they were following her story, I think her youth and her sense of self-possession not only comes from her confidence and mastery over her body and having this healthy lifestyle, but she does all this stuff. Like, she can sew, she fixes computers, she speaks 3 different languages, like all this crazy stuff for no reason, you know. She just does it just because it's, you know, it's impactful and important to her. And I'm like, yes, that's what self-possession is all about. So anyway, roundabout way, that was just a little background of why, even though I'm not a celebrity person, I don't follow people, yeah, I know, check her out, Annette Larkins. So when I saw this in the mailbox today, and it was specifically focused on Tina Knowles, not Beyonce, and talking about her life as a 61-year-old, that was really intriguing to me, because I'm, you know, always thinking about self-possession, and I just love hearing the stories of older women. And the article was really interesting, so I definitely encourage you to read it, or if you have a subscription to Ebony, go ahead and check it out. But she talked about different things that she did after her divorce to kind of come back to herself and her center, and she hit on some things that I've noticed that a lot of older self-possessed women say. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about that today with you all. Hi, Kay Fields Campbell, to talk about self-possession with you all. For those who are new and are just joining, and for everybody, because I didn't introduce myself, I gotta get better at this. I'm new to Periscope, so forgive me. My name is Courtney Sanders. I run the blog and brand thinkandgrowchick.com, and I'm obsessed with helping women think and grow into the women they want to be in their personal and their financial and in their professional lives. So I'm all about personal growth and all of that. So obviously self-possession falls under that category, and today we're talking about just things that I've noticed amongst older self-possessed women, particularly some highlights that came from this article that I got in my mailbox today that featured Tina Knowles, where she talked about her life after her divorce and some different things that she did to get herself back together. And oh my goodness, there's a bee on the table where my phone is. I hope it doesn't sting me. Y'all pray for me. I hope it goes away. This is what I get for doing, oh my goodness, they're everywhere. Ah! They must love the way I smell. This is so embarrassing on my Periscope. We might have to move to a different spot. Yeah, let's move to a different spot. What do you need to hear from another woman to tell if they're, smack it, I don't want to get stung, to tell if they're self-possessed? Is that what you're asking? Maybe go ahead and re-ask the question so I know exactly what you mean. Okay, I think it went away. Now I can sit down. But I just wanted to go over just things that she said in the article that I've noticed repeated amongst a lot of older, just left an older woman's home, and I said younger women need to invite older. Yes, we so need to do this. Oh, this bee, wow. I'll never use that body wash again and then come outside. Because it's following me everywhere. Yes, we need to invite older women into our life, because there's just such a richness. And, you know, as an African-American woman, I just think culturally there's such a depth to the stories that black women have to share and older black women have to share, and I literally see that as beautiful, like in every sense of the word. So I'm always trying to soak that and download that, because I am so young. I'll be 27 this month. Oh, the language of self-possessed women. Yes, that's what we're going to talk about today. I even took little notes as I was reading the article, because I thought it was really interesting. So the first thing I noticed that Tina Knowles and just other self-possessed women that I've come across, what they talk about is that they prioritize very strongly a sense of knowing themselves. And I think we all kind of like, oh yeah, I know myself, I'm, you know, into this, I'm this way or whatever, but they prioritize it so strongly that when they find themselves off kilter, they say things like, I had to take a hiatus or a break to do nothing other than to come back to my center and to reconnect with who I am. And I think in our kind of driven go, go, go society, sometimes it's frowned upon for anybody, but especially for a woman, to take a break and to do nothing but pause for yourself. You know, you're allowed to take a break if you're pregnant, you're allowed to take a break if you're sick, you're allowed to take a break if your husband is cheating on you with another woman, like you're allowed to take a break if your kids are doing crazy stuff in school. You're allowed to take a break for all these reasons, but we don't really think it's okay for you to take a break to, you know, quote unquote, find yourself. We're like, really? What does that mean? But that was one of the first things that Tina said in this article, and I've noticed that from a lot of other women. They're always making sure that they're getting back to who they are. And, you know, they have a strong sense of self from the beginning, and they do things to make sure that they stay connected. But for whatever reason, if something happens in their life and they find that they're off kilter, they prioritize very strongly getting back to that center, and they don't care, you know, what anyone else has to say about it. And so I really love that. And I think that's really important, especially since I'm personally on this kind of grace over grind mission. I won't hash about it too much because I've talked about it previously in other Periscopes and on my blog. Reconnecting with yourself too many times means there is a bigger problem. Could be, yeah, if there's if maybe you have things going on externally that are constantly knocking you off kilter. Yes, they use definitive verbiage to express their intentions and desires. They do. So yeah, I don't think it's so much that you're going through life and you're always like, oh, I gotta reconnect with myself. Like, they have a strong sense of self to begin with, but life is life. So when life throws curveballs, they're very disciplined. It's almost like a default reaction where they're like, no, the first thing I need to do is reconnect with myself, and they're unapologetic about that. And I really, really love that. And as I was saying, because I myself am kind of on that journey, I encourage you to go on my blog, thinkandgrowchick.com, and Google Grace Over Grind, where I talk about how I personally let go of the idea that I had to grind it out and sacrifice my own self-care and who I was in order to achieve my goals. I believe it's not either or, it's both. I can achieve my goals and still, you know, take care of myself and reconnect with who I am. So that was just super relevant for me, and I love that one of the first things she said in the article was like, yep, after my divorce, the first thing I did was focus on getting back to me. The other thing I noticed is that they're all about self-preservation and self-care, which is kind of similar. Oh, thank you, Natasha. That's my girl, y'all. You should definitely follow her at Go and Glow. She runs the Go and Go project, and we vibe on so many levels. We both talk about these things. But yeah, the second point is they're all about self-preservation and self-care. And I think that's why they're unapologetic to do point number one, which is reconnect them to themselves in the first place, is because they know that they can't give from an empty cup, right? So they're making sure that, you know, whatever's going on, that they are protected and that they're doing what it takes to take care of themselves. Yes, you have to. Family, work, children, spouses will drain your energy. It absolutely will. I don't even have all that. I've only been married for like a year and a half, newlywed, but it's like a full-time job to focus on someone else's needs and then your full-time career. Oh yes, it's also important not to be afraid to say no. Oh, and I just want to give a little book recommendation. I probably shouldn't recommend it because I haven't read it yet, but I'm getting ready to. It's called The Power of a Positive No. And I want to say the guy's name is William Ury, U-R-Y. And he talks about how the importance of saying no, and if you struggle with telling people no, ways that you can say no positively where you're not destroying the relationship with the person that you're saying no to, but you're still protecting your own interests and honoring yourself in saying no. So yeah, that's it. Saying no, self-care, and self-care beyond just like, oh, I'm going to the spa, I'm going to get my hair done, I'm going to get my nails done, but just doing whatever it is you need to do. Yes, Chima 4. Oh, the author, I believe it's William Ury, but if you go like on Amazon or you Google The Power of a Positive No, it's got rave reviews. It was recommended to me. I'm going to read it. The author is pretty solid. He's written a lot of other books that people really appreciate. So yeah, you read it and then you check it out and you let me know what you think. So yeah, they focus on self-care for doing whatever it is that they need to do to feel good and to feel like themselves. And she talked about that in the interview. She was like, I guess now she's like an art collector, and she said she loved museums as a child, and as she was thinking about how she could get back to a place where she felt like solid after this traumatic thing happened in her life, that's just one of the first things she did, was just something as simple as going to museums. So just doing whatever you need to do to feel like yourself, I believe, is self-care, which can include, you know, getting makeup and getting your hair done, but I think it's a lot deeper than that. So that was the second point. The third thing that I noticed is that they, one, create, and two, they create for themselves first and foremost. And what I mean by that is all the women that I love, I mentioned Angela Bassett, who I'm obsessed with, Tracy Ellis Ross, who I believe is like my sister in my head, even though she doesn't know who I am. And then this woman, Annette Larkins, that I encourage you guys to check out because she's got a really cool story, and she's like 70 something. And then now even Tina Knowles, she mentioned that she was always into like her own creative stuff. Like Tina Knowles, she did fashion, and was a big hairdresser in Houston. And the woman I mentioned, Annette Larkins, who's like a raw vegan and looks like 50 even though she's 70 something, she does stuff for no reason. Like she learns all these different languages, she sews. Annette Larkins, Larkins. She grows her own food. She like collects rainwater from the sky and purifies it and drinks it. Like, why? You know, like, she's not trying to sell it. I think, and I even have to learn this. Obviously, I'm about entrepreneurship. I'm about business. I'm about monetizing your value and yourself and what you can do. But some things just have to be for you, right? So I noticed that self-possessed women, whether they sell it later on or they monetize it or whatever, or they do it for somebody else, they first and foremost create just for themselves. And they create because a lot of women don't create. They don't have anything that they do. And it doesn't have to be create like you write a book or you are a painter or whatever, but it could be just something as simple as you love creating order at I don't know, at some local nonprofit group that you want to be a part of. Yes, thank you, Femme Fatale Fit Club. I think as women, it is so important that we are always creating something. I like to think of it as a term like you should always be giving birth to something, right? That's like, you know, a core facet of, you know, yourself as a woman, and something that we're able to do that men aren't able to do. And so, yes, we know that in the literal, biological, anatomical sense that, like, yes, women can give birth to other human beings, but I think also on like a spiritual level, and we talk about like, oh, women's intuition and our knowledge and all that stuff. I think women have a really creative resonance within us, and so if we're not actively putting that out there, then it can really kind of block us and cause like weird things to happen in our lives, or you know, we just feel weird and not totally fulfilled just because we're not doing what we were literally made to do. We were made to, among other things, to give birth to things, not just in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense too, to give birth to your mission, to give birth to your ideas, to create. So every self-possessed woman that I've ever come across, even down to, you know, my mom's friends that I was like sitting under the stairs listening to their conversations when they were over drinking their glass of wine when I was like 10, and I shouldn't have been listening to them. I should have had my butt in bed. They all had something they were doing. They were all creating things. My mom is really big on interior design, and, you know, I got her into vintage shopping, and she, you know, she's just okay being by herself, doing what brings her joy and what she likes to do. She's just okay being for herself. And I think creating for yourself, I remember those days too, Mom and her women's cup. Yes, I loved it. I always think about that, like, oh man, when I have kids, you know. And here's the thing, now looking back on it as an adult, I think my mom knew. I think they all knew. They were allowing it, but they just didn't want me to know, you know. Otherwise they would have been like, what are you doing? Go to bed. But I think they knew, but they just kind of let it ride because they probably did the same thing with their mothers, with my grandmother. I think that's like a big part, you know, as a child and as a young woman growing up with your mother. So that's the third point. They create and create for themselves first and foremost. So if you're just joining, again, my name is Courtney Sanders. I run the blog and brand thinkandgrowchick.com. I'm obsessed with helping women think and grow into their best selves. And today we're talking about self-possession and what it means to be a self-possessed woman, which is different from, thank you, Mr. Woodcock. Please don't get weird because we don't want to have to block anybody. Yes, it's passive education. I think sometimes parents kind of let you passively kind of absorb things by osmosis. And so today's conversation is about self-possession. I was inspired to hop on here with you guys because I came home, checked the mail, and there was this article about Tina Knowles and how she's kind of reclaiming herself and her life at age 61. And even though I'm only 26, I'll be 27 this month. Thank you, JW. I love the idea of self-possessed women. I love older women. Like, I love older women. I wish our culture celebrated them more. I love just sitting under older women and just hearing their wisdom because I think there's just immense beauty in that. So I'm giving you guys 5 points that I've noticed, not just from Tina Knowles articles, but just my exposure to older self-possessed women in general, different things that they do. So the first one, I noticed that they prioritize knowing themselves, and at any time where they feel like they're off kilter or they're not connected with themselves, they unapologetically get back to that place. The second thing is I noticed that they're all about self-preservation and self-care, and again, they're unapologetic about it. Yes, I'm so proud of her, and never too old. Yes, self-love and self-possessed. That is so true. 61, 71, 81, girl, you better do it. So yeah, second point, they're about self-preservation. The third point is they create first and foremost, and they create for themselves first and foremost. A lot of women don't create and don't do things. If I had children, would I let them learn via osmosis? Not all things, but some things. I think it's kind of a give and take. I think learning takes many different styles, many different modes of learning, and, you know, it depends on what the situation is. I think some lessons I would kind of, you know, let my child understand it for themselves. Not all the time. I think, obviously, active education is really important, but, you know, it just depends on the situation. Okay, so the fourth thing, oh, this is big, and I started this whole conversation off because I learned the term self-possession when I was like early college or teenage, when I was reading voraciously all these books about like French women are awesome, French women don't get fat, and this is the difference between French women and American women, and why French women, you know, are awesome. So stereotypes, I know, like not all French women do this, but put a book under their pillow as they sleep. No, not quite. Where was I? Oh yes, one of the things that the book talked about in terms of self-possession is that to be self-possessed is that they never attach their value to external things, good or bad. That's the key. I think we know, like, oh, if you failed at something or if you made a mistake or whatever, like, you shouldn't attach your value as a person or as a woman to that. But I noticed that self-possessed women, they don't attach their value even to good things. And I think that that's something that a lot of women struggle with in our society here in America. I'm not sure where everyone else is watching from, because we are kind of a materialistic culture. We always are preaching about like accolades, and there's all these external things that we praise people for having. And so I think that's the key difference between self-possession and self-confidence. You can be self-confident because you've accomplished a lot, or you have a lot of money, or, you know, as a man you have a trophy wife, or as a woman, you know, you got this amazing man at home, or whatever. You can have all these great things, your kids are fantastic, all this stuff. And so I thought it was really interesting in the article with Tina Knowles and then from other people. But with Tina Knowles, I think this comes into play because, I mean, come on, her daughter is Beyonce, her other daughter is Solange, you know. Yes, material possessions shouldn't have any bearing on who you are as a person. No. So of all people, she could, yes, we do acknowledge trophies. She could have wrapped her self-confidence up in the things that her family is doing and the high social standing that she has, but she talks about getting back to being okay with herself regardless of what was going on. And I think that's really important to know. And as women, as we do strive and make moves towards our own personal definitions of success, I think it's a even greater reminder. It's like, yeah, don't get caught up on mistakes you made, you know, whatever you did in the past, that doesn't give you value, but whatever you do in the future, you know, the success and the positive things that you have externally that you accomplish, your value shouldn't come from that either, because that can go away. Like, what happens if you, exactly, accomplishments or lack thereof should not equivocate to personal value at all, because just by virtue of being a human being, and I'm a believer in God, and he says that, you know, we're all made in his image. Like, just by you being born, by virtue, you are a valuable person. You have value. So just wake up in the morning and say, I'm a person of value. It has nothing to do with what you do or what you don't do. And self-possessed women seem to really, really understand that. And the last thing that I've noticed, and this is something I'm working on for myself, but when I do it, I notice the difference. Self-possessed women give themselves permission. They give themselves permission. That's it. We as women, why do we do this? We're always looking for validation. Can I write that book? Can I go back to school? Really? I'm 65. Can I go? Won't I be too old? Can I go after that dream? You know, we're looking for someone to say, like, to wave the magic wand and to say, yes, you are allowed to do whatever it is that you want to do. Self-possessed women, that's what it means to be self-possessed. That's why I said at the beginning, I think self-possession is closer to self-contained than it is self-confident, because you know that you already have everything within yourself to anoint yourself, to knight you and say, yes, you have you give yourself permission because you have it. Yep. Yes. We make it harder than it has to be. So self-possessed women, they do. Tina, she's 61. She didn't wait for someone to give her permission and said, okay, you know, now we're having a renaissance for older women, you know, in American culture, so now you're allowed to be happy and to see yourself as beautiful and to go out there and get you a man, girl. She did it because she gave herself permission to do that. And so I think that's a lesson that we, yes, ooh, affirmations, that's a good one. Thank you, Jay Willer. I'm trying to tell the truth, you know. That's why I love Periscope, because I have these, thank you, Jay, trying. I have these thoughts, like, to myself, and, you know, normally I'm like, oh, who am I going to share this with? And sometimes writing a full-out blog post about this. Yeah, you guys, let her know. Natasha, help me out with that. But, yeah, great career and excellent money, but hate the gig, yeah. So yeah, sometimes I don't want to spend time writing a blog post or doing a podcast. Sometimes I just want to, like, talk about that. Ooh, want to walk away but nervous? This is an opportunity for you to practice that, for you to give yourself permission. Yep, I am a person of value. Let's everybody say that when you wake up tomorrow. And tomorrow is a great, Sunday of all days is a great day to say, I am a person of value. When you wake up in the morning, and then let everything you do come from that affirmation, come from that truth, you know. Really, affirmations are just repetitions of the truth, you know, so, and it is true. So let everything come from that. But yeah, thanks guys for having this girl talk with me on a Saturday night. I know y'all could have been out partying or oh, awesome, B. Coleman. So yeah, I am curious though. A lot of you seem to remember those conversations between your mom and, you know, her friends when you were sneaking under the stairs listening, or you too like to sit under the feet of wise self-possessed women. So just what are some things that you've noticed? I've shared the 5 tips that I've noticed, and if you like the 5 tips, go ahead and give me some hearts. I really appreciate it. But what have you all noticed, or some tips that you think are interesting about self-possessed women? Because maybe I didn't hit everything on my 5 points. Love listening to your older patients talk about their lives. It's so interesting. I love older people. I don't know. I've been told I'm an old soul. Even since I was like 9. People are like, how old are you? Where did you get this child from? She's such an old soul. So, I don't know. I always thought that was kind of a bad thing. Hi from Chicago. I love Chicago. I'm originally from Detroit, but Chicago is one of my favorite places to visit in the summer. Yes, enjoy the ride. That's a big one. That is a big one. Enjoy the ride. Ooh, value your wisdom. Yes, TM Shine. Learn to value your wisdom. Youngins like me want it, you know? We're trying to get it. I'm sitting here taking notes on an Ebony article. So, you know, wisdom is a powerful and beautiful thing to have. So thank you all. Thank you, ladies, and any gents who were watching this or are watching the replay. Oh, yeah, that's huge. Stop worrying about what others think. And that's something even I have to work on. But I love being reminded of that, or hearing other people say that. It's just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And it goes back to the affirmation that we're all going to say in the morning. I am a person of value. So it doesn't matter what others think. Yes. It is amazing when you hit that point. The journey continues to value your own individuality. Yep. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this girl talk. If you liked it, give me some more hearts on my way out so I know to do more discussions about this. I I just love having this conversation. I think it's really cool, and I love everything about self-possession. But thank you for sitting with me on a Saturday, and I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do some daily scopes. So until next time, bye.